We want to engage with you. And that's why we've created 2 platforms where you can send us questions relating to tonight's webinar. You can send us through the email address, which is rla questions@sars.gov.za. You can also use this chat box of this Zoom platform to send us the questions so that we can be able to receive them, and Nora and her team will be able to respond to them later in this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a closing remarks that will be presented to us by Dr. Ribone Kabo, who is the head of taxpayer and trader education here at SARS. We will also like to hear from you. Hence, we have created a very short survey towards the end of this webinar so that you can give us feedback of how we go with the webinar. Without the waste of time, ladies and gentlemen, partners in trade, allow me to introduce to you Mrs. Ray Vivis, who will give us the keynote address. Ray has enjoyed a diverse career at SARS, predominantly in the customs area. She is an accomplished leader, experienced in the large business operations in more than 30 localities. She is passionate about trade facilitation, building a tax and a customs system based on voluntary compliance. Her current portfolio includes custom accreditation and licensing. She is passionate about maintaining positive relations with stakeholders and working with and through them to build a customs system. She is committed to excellence and making a difference. Ray has a master's degree from all the way in Canberra, Australia. Ray, over to you for the opening remarks and the key address for our webinar.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Good afternoon, evening to all our attendees. It is really a great pleasure to participate in this webinar of the registration, licensing and accreditation system that SARS provides to stakeholders to, 1, register for import or exporting, to apply for a license, to act as a SARS intermediary, or 3, to participate in the Authorized Economic Operator Program. As you know, we are living in a low-touch economy that implies that we all need to adapt, to develop new skills and rethink how we make decisions to stay agile and connected. So too is the rise of online retailing, transforming supply chains into demand chains, not only from expanding sales, but also from the increasing expectation of customers. This translates to a requirement for all of us to reconsider the way we do business in this next normal. Today, we will highlight the functionality of the RLA system and the onboarding of existing customs clients. It is, ladies and gentlemen, a tool that enables you to better navigate the challenges that I alluded to. I'm sure many of you are aware that for a voluntary compliance framework to be sustainable, the economics concept of the law of diminishing marginal utility must be applied. That is, or for example, marginal benefits versus marginal costs. The inference is that the marginal benefit for compliant traders will increase at a level of their compliance, and that the marginal cost of non-compliant traders will equally increase according to the level of non-compliance. Therefore, central to our strategy in SARS is 1, the promotion and incentivizing of voluntary compliance by decreasing compliance costs. 2, the provision of incentives for voluntary compliance. And 3, increasing the probability of exposure for non-compliance. The RLA system does just that. It provides an efficient and more cost-effective way to do business with SARS and gives you, the client or the user, the agility to manage your own business in this ever-demanding environment. In 2019, during a survey, you asked us to, amongst other things, 1, provide process simplifications, 2, to improve transparency, 3, to provide improved standardization and consistency, and 4, to eliminate manual processes. Well, we listened, and the RLA system was developed and rolled out in early 2020 during the hard lockdown, I might add. And we continue to listen. Continuous improvement of the system has been ongoing since 2020 and will continue. Regarding the onboarding of existing clients onto the system, I'd like to share some interesting statistics with you that illustrate the context that we are all dealing with. The current Customs and Excise Register is older than me, so you can therefore conclude very old, in other words. Some clients on the register predated the Customs and Excise legislation, which was published in 1964. At least it doesn't predate, I don't predate that, but nevertheless, that's how old our register is. There are just over 628,000 importers and exporters on register. Yet only 18% or 114,000 were active in the last financial year. So that implies that at least 80% of the data on our register is outdated. There are just over 3,000 clearing agents on register, 52% of which were active in the last year. So again, almost 50% of this segment of the register is outdated. And the picture is very much the same for all segments of the register. Even though it is a legislative requirement to advise SARS of any changes to your business registration, we still remain with so many businesses on the register that haven't been active for a great deal of years. So for us, enrolling on the RLA system, and for you, provides us with the perfect opportunity to ensure that this register is updated and accurate, whilst it affords you a more efficient and cost-effective way to manage your own business information. To my mind, that's a win-win situation. We are very privileged today to be joined by an illustrious group of presenters from SARS. Our goal is that we will all come away with something, a new idea, a fresh perspective. After all, we are all increasingly asking ourselves, how can we reinvent ourselves? How can we adapt to the next normal? And in doing so, boost trade recovery and post the pandemic. Linking the licensing framework to the SARS strategy, we are reminded that border management requires a fine balance of trade facilitation, collection of the correct taxes, and at the same time, improving compliance. SARS's 8th strategic objective acknowledges that SARS cannot do this alone, that we need to work with and through stakeholders to achieve our intent of improving voluntary compliance. The licensing framework is an important tool to achieve this and will ensure achievement of this fine balance at the lowest possible cost, both to yourselves and ourselves, without any compromise to the revenue compliance risks that the passage of goods and services across our borders represent. And with this in mind, and following on the success of the collaborative forum with the private sector for the AEO program, I am proposing today that we establish a similar consultative forum with the private sector for the new licensing framework. This will ensure that we leverage each other's strengths to resolve tax administration challenges and improve tax compliance. We also then will be working together in the design of the RLA system to ensure that it meets those challenges that you are dealing with, and at the same time provide SARS with the level of data that we require when dealing with importers, exporters, and other segments of the customs and excise realm. So I will be reaching out to industry associations in this regard in due course to set up this forum. And I hope that I can rely on all of you for your support and your attendance in this forum. Let me conclude, ladies and gentlemen, by thanking all of our panelists for the excellent insights they will share, and the organizers for what I know will be a professional and successful event. More importantly, I thank each one of you for attending, and I extend a special thank you in anticipation of the robust dialogue today's event will elicit. Thank you very much, and back to you, Program Director.
Thank you very much, Ray, for that warm welcome and outstanding remarks that you have given us this evening. We really appreciate you have taken us through the background and the aim of this webinar, but most importantly, the significant improvement that we have done in making it easier for doing business with us as our traders. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to proceed with our webinar this evening. I would like now to introduce to you the presenters that will be delivering the presentation for this evening. We have three presenters. We have Mr. Sidwell Pokane, who will be leading the team of the presenters. Sidwell Pokane is a customs officer with extensive knowledge and experience in various disciplines within the customs environment. He is currently an executive in the Accreditation and Licensing Division, responsible for licensing and registration for customs and excise. Academically, Mr. Pokane holds a bachelor degree in administration and honors degree in industrial psychology. He has also attended several operations management and leadership seminars, as well as a number of courses offered by SARS and other academic institutions. Mr. Pokane will be supported by Ms. Rachel Sintumule. Ms. Rachel Sintumule will be covering the modernization part of the presentation. I would like to introduce to you Ms. Rachel Sintumule. Rachel Sintumule forms part of the SARS Customs Modernization Team in Customs Border Operation, providing customs special support. She has over 15 years of experience in SARS and served in a variety of projects and support portfolios. Her current area of focus is on the successful delivery of customs strategic projects. This entails providing customs operations with specialized support from a capacity building perspective by identifying business improvement opportunities, which are project driven. She is an accomplished academic who holds a master's degree of business administration and a master's of commerce in program management, among her accolades. Rachel is currently pursuing a PhD in her area of expertise. So Rachel will be giving us the modernization presentation part. Then we will have Mr. Deshan Pillay. Mr. Deshan Pillay will be taking us through the navigation process on how to go through our system when you are onboarding. Mr. Pillay is a seasoned business analyst and process engineer with a demonstrated history in project management, leadership, and collaboration. He is also a process engineer on the design and the implementation of the electronic registration and licensing solution for customs and excise. Deshan joined SARS in 2009 and has a passion for innovation and leveraging of technology to advance business efficiencies, which has been the backdrop to his success in creating solutions to complex business challenges. He has over a decade of experience in the field of business analysis and embedding key business system solutions in the tax and the customs revenue authority. Mr. Pillay holds an engineering degrees as well as project management and business analysis qualifications. Ladies and gentlemen, partners in trade, join me to welcome Mr. Pokane, who will start with the presentation for this evening. Mr. Pokane, you can take us through the presentation.
Thank you very much, Program Director Msongweni. Good afternoon to you, Program Director. And good afternoon to all members of trade present in this webinar. And a good afternoon to all the colleagues on the line, ladies and gentlemen. It is quite an absolute pleasure and honor for me this afternoon to be sharing with you the journey that we have embarked as Customs and Excise to drive our modernization agenda in as far as licensing and registration is concerned. For the purpose of today, we'll also take you in detail some of the recent developments and the key processes relating to the onboarding of our existing customs client. In terms of this presentation, just to share with you the content, we'll take you through the detail of the onboarding. We'll also share with you some of the very interesting and exciting benefits that members of trade stand to enjoy as soon as they're enrolled on this automated platform. We'll also take you through the onboarding process relating to the cargo reporters. We'll also share with you the established escalation process, which enable you to log your queries with us as efficiently and effectively as possible. Also of interest with this presentation, we'll also assist you and share with you the self-service platform through the SARS website, which you'll be able to find some of the recent information and updates relating to the RLA. We'll also take you into detail in terms of the schematic process flow relating to the RLA process. And lastly, you'll also enjoy the benefit of raising questions, which will be competently filled by the panel of experts. Program Director, without further ado, allow me to begin with the presentation. Our journey of implementing the licensing and registration modernization agenda began on the 20th of April 2020, wherein we successfully launched a very secured online customs trader portal, wherein for the very first time in the history of customs and excise, members of trade were enabled to submit their licensing and registration applications to customs through the e-filing capability. Program Director, I think it is worth sharing these figures. To date, since April 2020 to date, we have successfully processed just over 42,000 new clients on this platform. And it is on that note that we feel confident that the system is now stable enough, it is stabilized to start and embark on the journey to onboard the existing customs clients. It must also be noted that prior April 2020, and members of trade will appreciate this experience, that we've been heavily reliant on a manual process through the DA 185, which is characterized with all sorts of difficulties and issues that were both experienced by trade as well as the internal SARS users. To that end, we therefore use this webinar this afternoon to also appeal to members of trade to really seize the moment and work with us and really make use of this automated platform. In that, we've also ensured that the secured online is only focusing on ensuring that the clients have an opportunity to submit or refresh the new information regarding their entities. You'll have also noted from the opening remarks by Ms. Ray Vivia that some of the clients have been with us, doing business with us over 60 years. And I'm sure you'll agree with me that some of those details are really outdated, which therefore makes it difficult as and when they interact with us. We are also, as licensing and registration, responsible to administer a trader register that is just over 800,000 of various client types within customs and excise. Therefore, looking at the magnitude of this, of the size of this trader register, we then decided that we will start to work firstly with the clearing agents to onboard them into the system, which later on they will be able to, through the use of the relationship management module functionality built into the RLA, they will be able to declare and register clients that they are acting on their behalf. Also of importance is that at a later stage, we will be launching another initiative which will also focus on other critical processes in the licensing and registration value chain, such as the audits, the security assessments, as well as fiscal inspection. Program Director, members of trade, allow me to invite my colleague, Ms. Rachel Sintumule, to take us through the onboarding of the cargo reporters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bokani, and greetings to our valued clients, the SARS leadership, and the SARS colleagues. The modernization journey in SARS started in 1998. And fast forward, RLA is an initiative of the Customs Modernization Program dating back 2015 as part of the bigger EdCap program. Over the years, great progress has been made on this initiative to ensure that we onboard and provide our valued client with an online registration and licensing capability. As a team, upon reflection on the progress made on getting cargo reporters on board, there's quite a number of cargo reporters that are still following the manual registration process and don't have a customs client code. The modernization team has been engaging the cargo reporters that are actively involved in the e-penalty stakeholder engagement within the ANC modalities to encourage registration. And this webinar also provides an opportunity for us to encourage onboarding of more cargo reporters. So in terms of the history, when we went live with the SARS cargo processing system in April 2018, known as RGC system to our valued clients, cargo reporters registered for cargo following a manual registration process. However, from April 2020, new cargo reporters were encouraged to register through e-filing on the customs trader portal. The international carriers for both sea and air may not currently be in a possession of a customs client code that is normally assigned upon registration or licensing in respect of other customs products, such as importation, customs clearance, and so forth. The e-penalty system goes live on the 1st of August 2022, and cargo reporters who would have been sent the letter of intent and expected to pay penalties, they will require this customs client code to be able to pay those penalties to SARS. So the RLA onboarding process will result in a customs client code being issued to a cargo reporter who does not currently have one at this present moment. Therefore, as SARS, we encourage cargo reporters who are yet to obtain the customs client code to take advantage of this RLA platform and capture their existing application details on the Customs Trader portal. The RLA team, led by my colleague, Mr. Sidwell Pokani, once they receive those applications, they'll prioritize the processing of those cargo reporters who are not currently in possession of a customs client code. I'm hopeful, valued client, that with this message of encouragement coming from a more feminine voice, that more cargo reporters will take advantage of this significantly simplified onboarding process. Thank you, Mr. Pokani. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much once again, Ms. Rachel Sintumule, for such insightful information regarding the onboarding of our cargo reporters. And indeed, Rachel, as the licensing and registrations team, we are available and ready to assist our cargo reporters. Program director, members of trade, colleagues, I'll quickly be taking you through some of the benefits that the RLA offers, which the members of trade also stay to enjoy as soon as they're enrolled on this platform. The RLA provide you with a very rare opportunity to submit your applications with ease through the e-filing capability. The good thing about this functionality is that it enables you to file your application sitting anywhere in the world, in the comfort of your home, in the office, even on holiday. The RLA also offers a very improved management capability of the application process. And this has made a lot of difference, wherein we saw a very significant improvement on productivity, as well as the overall performance, wherein the operational management team were in a position to track and trace the progress of the case in the pipeline. This also assists in terms of as and when queries are logged with us, we're able to make ease reference to where the case is. With this, RLA has also drastically reduced the manual paper-intensive processes, which were presenting a whole lot of issues, both for us internally, as well as the traders. Because this manual process is littered with human errors, which create rework, which led to rejections, to the pain of our clients, and at cost, of course. It also offers our clients an opportunity to declare and register the existing client without having to, without any human interaction. Colleagues, this functionality is also key, program director. There have been reported incident of identity theft, especially reported by our licensed clearing agents, where most of our customs enforcement teams will be querying them on certain transactions, will then get a feedback that they have no knowledge of such cases. With this functionality, to a larger extent, it does mitigate the risk of the identity theft, which I think it's also present a very compelling reason for members of trade to really seize this opportunity to be onboarded on this automated platform. The RLA also offers an automated electronic notifications in which we are able to be informed timeously of the status of your application. Built into the RLA is the dashboard functionality, which enables our clients to manage their own registration profiles, such as changing and updating contact numbers, physical address, banking details, and so forth. just to take you through the onboarding process so that it becomes much more easier for our clients as they'll be beginning the journey of the onboarding. You simply have to log into the e-filing using your existing e-filing credentials. In case where you do not have an e-filing credentials or profile, you simply have to visit the nearest customs branch. In that process, please ensure that the employees that you have entrusted with performing customs registrations and related activities, ensure that they have the appropriate e-filing user rights, as well as RLA profiles that are obtainable from your own organizational e-filing administrator. This therefore enables the necessary access to RLA on e-filing. Also of importance to note, e-filers with an individual profile must ensure that they change it to the organizational profile. Once you have successfully done that, you will now be enabled to navigate through the RLA platform on e-filing. Of importance, also ensure that your customs code is available for selection. If you happen not to locate and find your customs code, ensure that you follow the match process. Program Director, this is one of the areas that has been creating service failures in some of the cases that we've dealt with. So it is important that applicants, when they get to this point, they therefore follow the link where it will give them the step-by-step guide on how to do the match tax profile. Once they've successfully done that, it will therefore, on the very same RLA dashboard, they'll have to select new application. Once you are on the page, you'll then have to navigate the relevant client type wizard and select the appropriate client type that you want to onboard. Please complete the required information and upload any required supporting documents. Also of importance to be noted is that the applicant must also attach the onboarding letter as an additional document in order for SARS to positively identify your application that is for the purpose of onboarding. Once you have successfully submitted your application, you'll immediately receive a reference number. And once the application is processed, you'll also receive an email or SMS notification. Access to RLA on e-filing or customs branch to view your customs or the outcome letter, which is also available on the RLA inbox. Once your first application is approved, a system profile will be created for you, confirming that you are now active on RLA. And once your profile is created, you may now proceed to submit all other existing client types on the RLA without having to wait for each one to be finalized. You'll then have to simply follow step 1 up to 12. As I've mentioned before, Program Director, of importance is that the RLA, through the relationship management module functionality, the clients will be able to declare the relationship that they have with the many clearing, with the many clients that they are representing. Also, on our part, to make sure that we make it easier for you to interact with us, especially on the follow-up of any query that relating to licensing, registrations, licensing, and accreditation. We encourage members of trade to continually make use of our SARS Contact Centre, making use of the 0800 007277 number. Also, we have various branch front end capabilities around the country where we have our members who are quite competent in processing issues relating to risks and licensing. For clients that are closer to Albertine and Pretoria, they can send the email or their queries through the provided email, the bgroenewald@sars.gov.za. In Cape Town, they can submit their queries through the group email, client interface 1, wc@sars.gov.za. And for Durban, also you can use the provided email address, Durban licensing registration@sars.gov.za. So it will be the ORTIA using the provided group email address, licensing@sars.gov.za. And lastly, Port Elizabeth, they'll use the PEZ, registrations and licensing@sars.gov.za. With this, we're also mindful that there are other clients beyond the boundaries of these areas that we've mentioned, especially our land border environment. Clients are encouraged also to visit those nearest port of entries where we've got customs presence, where our customs colleagues will competently assist them further. Also to deal and field your queries, especially to track and trace progress on some of the applications. If it's an application that we have submitted through the RLA platform, please make use of the RLA registration@sars.gov.za group email address. Please make sure that you code the correct case reference number and the name of your company in the subject line. For ease of reference and to distinct the case reference number related to the RLA, it always starts with 1000. For cases that will have submitted manually through the BFE on DA185, please email your query to customs@sars.gov.za. Once again, code the relevant case number, the name of the company on the subject line. The SSM case numbers always start with digit 3 or 4, and it has 9-digit numbers. Also, as part of making it easier and provide clarity to you as our traders, we also encourage you to make use of this self-service platform through the SARS website, wherein you simply have to log into the SARS website. You then go to the SARS home, then you click Customs and Excise near the top right. Then you follow and click the registrations and licensing accreditation. And on this page, you'll then also find the recent and related new information, wherein documents that we published as recent as 16 April 2021, you'll find information related to the previous webinars, the presentations, and frequently asked questions. On the very same, you'll also find documents that we published again on 16 April 2020 that also has the RLA system guides. Just above what's in your icon, you'll also have to navigate the RLA system specific web page, wherein you'll also enjoy some of the latest and new information regarding the RLA system. Also of importance, on the very same page, we've also posted related publications and update as well as escalations and query procedures. You'll also find very recent and related documents relating to our policies and external user guides, which we believe will equally make your life much easier in interacting with us. On that note, Program Director, I thank you for the opportunity And I would like to hand over to my colleague, Mr. Deshan Pillay. Over to you, Mr. Pillay. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pukani, for the warm welcome. Good afternoon to my fellow SARS colleagues and members of trade. Today, I would like to take you through the system process refresher to provide some guidance to the system navigation on the RLA system to assist with onboarding of your client types onto the RLA system that Mr. Pukani, the process he alluded to earlier, and as well as any new applications that you would want to apply for on RLA. The RLA registration service is available via two channels. So e-filing being one of the channels, and the second channel being the customs branch front end. The e-filing channel is obviously the preferred channel, as it's a self-service digital capability. You can basically capture and submit applications from the comfort of your home or office instead of having to physically walk into a customs branch office. Currently, clients that are registered for e-filing may make use of their existing e-filing login credentials to access RLA. SARS clients that are not yet registered for e-filing may do so by following the registration link on the e-filing website itself. Important to note that whether you capture or submit your applications via the e-filing platform or walk into a customs branch to submit that application, it's still done on the very same RLA system and processed in the very same manner. So once you've logged onto e-filing, in order to access RLA, so the first item is that your e-filing profile must be an organization profile. So if you have an individual e-filing profile, you need to convert it to an organization profile first. And how you do that is, once you've logged onto e-filing, you would click on the home button on the top menu. Thereafter, you would click on the My Profile button on the left-hand side. It will bring up a sub-menu below that, and you would click on Portfolio Management. Clicking on Portfolio Management will then open up this Portfolio Management screen. Here you would see a list of any linked portfolios on your account. It will also indicate the portfolio type. If the portfolio type is individual, you would need to change it, and you do that by clicking on this button with 3 dots, and it will bring up a menu, and you would select Change Portfolio Type and change it to Organization. Once your profile has been successfully changed to an organization profile, on the e-filing main menu, you would now see Organizations and Customs appearing on your top menu. To access RLA, you would need to click on Customs on the top menu. It will bring up the Customs menu on the left-hand side. You then click on Customs Registration. You would then see the option for registration, licensing, and accreditation will become visible. So clicking on registration, licensing, and accreditation will launch the RLA functionality. But before we can access RLA, we need to ensure that you have the correct user profiles and rights. And in order to do this, you need to click on a user on the top menu. It would then bring up the user menu on the left-hand side. Click on user and then click on the change details button. It will bring up the change details screen, and then you would need to click on update user rights. After you've clicked on update user rights, it would then present you with the user rights and roles screen. So here you would see a list of all the user roles, but for today we'll focus on the RLA roles. So in terms of RLA roles, there are 4 roles that you can choose from, and you can only select one. The first role is View Customs Product Information. The second role is, so the first role is View Customs Product Information. This role will allow you to only view customs product and client type information. The second role is View Client Type. So this role only allows you access to view client type information. The third role is Manage Customs Product Information. So this role allows you to submit and view both customs product and client type information. So this role basically allows you full submission rights. The fourth role is manage client type. So this role allows you to submit client type applications. It is important to note that only someone that has the manage customs product information role will be allowed to submit the very first RLA application. So that's where you would set your user roles. So if you are an employee in an organization, the role allocation would need to be done by the e-filing administrator within your organization. So you would need to engage that person to grant you access to the relevant roles. There's more information on SARS website in terms of doing this. There's a guide called How to Register for E-Filing and Manage Your User Profile. So that guide would give you information about how to do this. So after you've changed your e-filing profile to an organization profile and you now have the correct RLA role, you are now ready to access the RLA system. If you click on registration, licensing, and accreditation, the first screen that you would see is the customs code selection screen. New applicants that have never registered for customs before would only see the new registration option, which you need to select and continue. If you are an existing customs client and you already have a customs code, you would see that code here on the screen, which you would need to select and then continue. If you have a customs code, but you do not see it on the screen for selection, it means that you need to perform the merge process. There's more information about the merge process on the SARS website. Important to note, if you have an existing customs code and you don't see it on the screen, but you still continue to select new registration and continue, the RLA system will generate a new customs code for you. So once that is done and you've selected your code or new registration and click continue, you will land on the RLA dashboard. So the RLA dashboard is made up of 3 sections. The top section is the application section. So here you would see a list of all client types that is in a draft state or applications that are in progress. The second section is the product section. So after your first client type has been approved, here you would now see your customs product information. So your customs product, your financial account number, and your effective date. The third section at the bottom is the registered client type section. Here you would see a list of all your approved client types. So at the top left, there's a button, RLA. So if you click on this button, it will bring up a menu from that button. On the left-hand side is registrations. So there's a link. So under registrations, there's a dashboard button. Clicking on the dashboard button will take you back to the dashboard that I just explained. Clicking on new application will allow you to submit a new RLA application. On the right-hand side, there's a link to the relationship management functionality. So there's a dashboard. So clicking on this dashboard will take you to the relationship management dashboard. And there's notice of disclosure. So if you click on notice of disclosure, this will allow you to submit a disclosure or relationship with another trader that you are in a business with. Towards the top right is an inbox button. If you click on the inbox button, so here you would see all of your correspondence, your notifications, so your approval letters, refusal letters, both for RLA and relationship management. So now to launch the RLA functionality, we would click on a new application. So after we've clicked on new application, we would come to the client type selection screen. So this is what we call a wizard. So the client types are segmented into 3 categories. There's licensing, registration, and reporting. And you may navigate the drop-down arrows to find the client type that you're looking for or want to apply for. You may also make use of the search functionality. So if you start typing in the name of the client type, the system will bring up potential matches that you can select and apply for. After you've selected the client type that you want to apply for, when you click on it, it would then present you with an application form. So this is an electronic application form, and it is customized based on the client type that you selected. So on the left-hand side, it has the different sections of the form. You would need to complete all of the required information. After you've completed all of the required information, you can click on the conclude button at the bottom right. And after you've clicked on the conclude button on the left-hand side, you would now see that for each of these sections, there would either be a green tick indicating that you've completed all of the information correctly for that section, or you would see a red cross indicating that for that particular section that there's some information missing or incorrectly completed. After you've completed all of the sections in terms of the information, the system would then prompt you to upload the required supporting documents. So you would simply just click on the plus button and upload the required supporting document. In terms of the onboarding process, so as Mr. Sidwell Pukane mentioned, for onboarding applications, you would need to attach your onboarding letter as an additional document. So there's an option for additional documents, which is optional. So you would click on that button and then upload the onboarding letter. After you've attached all of the documents, you may then click on the declaration. Once you've clicked on the declaration, you will then see the submit button at the bottom right corner. You may then just click on the submit button to submit that application. After you've clicked on the submit button, you will then see a screen indicating that your application was submitted successfully, and it will indicate what the reference number and case number for that application is. At this point in time, your application will now go into our internal processing. Once it's processed by the SARS team, you would then get either an SMS or an email indicating that there's correspondence for you in your inbox. So if you go to your inbox, you would then see your approval letter or refusal letter on your inbox. Once your very first client type is approved, the system will then create an RLA profile for you. And so once your RLA profile is created, you may then proceed to submit any subsequent applications. And these subsequent applications can be done in parallel, so you don't need to wait for each one to be approved before submitting another. They can all be done in parallel. And then something new that we've introduced along the way is the renewal functionality. So certain client types, for example, clearing agent, require renewal. So the renewal of that application can now be done electronically as well. So if you go into your RLA dashboard, on the registered client type section, if a client type requires renewal, it will be color coded. So if it is color coded in orange, it means it is ready, that application or client type is ready for renewal. If you see that particular client type in red, it means you have that client type has exceeded the renewal date. In order to submit the application, you simply need to click on it, open the application, and submit the renewal. After you've submitted the renewal, if you then go back into your dashboard under the registered client type section, that particular application will then be in green, indicating that you've successfully submitted the renewal application. Colleagues and members of trade, so that's my contribution today in terms of providing some system navigation guidance. I hope it is helpful, and it will now assist you to submit and capture your applications electronically. Thank you very much. I will now hand over back to our program director. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, my dear colleagues, for the profound and insightful presentation. It is really appreciated. Your presentation have demonstrated the journey traveled in creating an enabling environment in onboarding our customs taxpayers and traders. We are also being true to our strategic objective of modernizing our system to provide digital and streamlined registration services. This will ensure seamless, reliable, and secure online digital services. So thank you very much, colleagues. We really appreciate that. And I hope our traders have received it very well. I must also confirm that this presentation will be uploaded in our website, which is www.sars.gov.za. I also want to remind you that we are live in our YouTube platform, and you can watch this webinar at a later stage at the comfort of your time. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are now moving along with our program for this evening. We are now getting to the most exciting part of the webinar, which is the questions and answers session. Nora Letuge will be leading a team of experts to answer and provide clarity to all the questions that you may have. Remember, we have created 2 platforms where you can send us questions relating to this webinar. Let me remind you about the email address, which is RLA questions@sars.gov.za. RLA questions@sars.gov.za. You are further welcome to use this Zoom chat box to send us the question so that Nora and her team can be in the position to answer and respond to all your questions. Let me introduce to you Nora, whom she will be leading the questions and the answers sessions. Nora Letuke joined SARS in the year 2008 as a personal assistant. Since then, she has grown extensively within the organization. She is currently a specialist taxpayer and trader relationship manager, accreditation and licensing, and responsible for the accreditation and the licensing team. Academically, Nora holds a degree in Bachelor of Management, Leadership, and she is currently studying towards postgraduate diploma in management. Let me invite you, Nora, and your team to lead and do the engagement with our traders and respond to the question that may have raised with us this evening. Over to you, Nora. You are on mute, Nora.
Thank you, Program Director. Good evening to all the colleagues online and our streamed traders that have joined us this evening. We will now be moving to a very exciting part of the session where we will be taking your questions and clarify any challenges that you would like us to clarify for you this evening. I have a panel of experts with me who are accompanying me to ensure that we engage with you this evening. I will be introducing the panel. As I'm introducing the panel, I'll request that they all open their videos so that our traders can see who they'll be engaging with. On the panel this evening with me, I've got Samuel Mosala, who is the Ops Manager in Licensing. I also have Katlego Setlalogile, who is the Ops Manager in Licensing. We have with us also Deshan Pillay, Specialist Engineer. Rachel Sintumule, Specialist International Trade. Andre Landman, who's Specialist System Integration. Michael Legala, Specialist Systems. Patricia Jones, Senior Manager Product and Process. And we also have with us Patience Hadebe, Ops Manager, Taxpayer Services, SMME Stakeholders. We are already getting our questions from our traders. And the first question that I have received from our traders says, I want to register for import and export license under my company profile, but when I click registration, licensing, and accreditation, it says you do not have the correct profile to access RLA. I will ask Dashin to lead this question for us.
Thank you, Nora, for the question. Nora, so as I've indicated in my presentation earlier, the user roles can be set by clicking on user on the top menu when you're on e-filing, and then on the left-hand side, click on user, then on change details, and then the update user rights button. And then on the user rights screen, you would select the appropriate RLA role. If you are an employee within an organization, you will need to engage your e-filing administrator within the organization to grant you those roles in order for you to access RLA. Thank you.
Thank you, Dashin, for a very detailed response. I have two more questions coming through. One question reads, how do I verify whether I'm registered for customs? I'll request that we take these two questions that are coming at the same time. The second one says, does your customs line type registration number expire? I'll request Samuel Mosala to take the two questions for us.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, Program Director, and also esteemed members of trade as well as colleagues. It's very much interesting, like Mr. Msongweni would have said, we are at the fun part, and it's nice to see most familiar faces of our regular traders. I see that we have Kathy, we have Vincent, Zikali, Simi. So thank you very much for engaging us. And in terms of strategic objective, one, we are here to provide clarity and certainty, and we are here to support and to make your process simple and compliance voluntarily as well. It will follow as that. So for one to, let me start with the first question, Chair. The first question for one to verify if it's a customs client, they can do that because we're going digital. One can use the e-filing through the RLA and follow the prompts as per my colleague Dashin would have alluded, in order to see the products that are there, or to even view the customs code and so forth, if one has the rights to the platform. So it's a self-service, simplified, at home. However, one can also walk into a nearest SARS branch, but however, validations will have to be taking place as well. The second question, if I got it correctly, it was regarding the expiry. So as we know, as currently now that the chair and also members of trade, it does not expire the code. If you have the code, you have it. And up until on certain circumstances, like for example, if the client does no longer require such, an application will have to be made for cancellation. However, we must take into consideration that the commissioner has the discretion as well to suspend, withdraw, cancel, depending on various situations. If there's any contravention of the Customs and Excise Act, then it can be cancelled and cease to exist, or suspended if there's outstanding tax matters like that and so forth that are not honored. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Sam, for clarifying such a detailed information for us. Our trader is asking us, and I'll ask Mr. Entitlement to take this one for us. The trader is asking, can I apply for reporting if I don't have a customs code? Andre, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Nora. So any person that's required in terms of the rules, the reporting rules, the rules to Section 8, that's required to submit the reporting document to SARS, must, notwithstanding being registered or licensed under any other provision of the Act, apply for registration as a cargo reporter and to submit cargo reports. Thanks.
Thank you so much for responding to us. There's one more question that is coming through for reporting. Who should apply for cargo reporting? Michael, will you please take the question for us?
Thank you, Nora. The rules to Section 8 of the Customs and Excise Act define who and what a cargo reporter is. And in those rules, it explains who, and also some of the provisions in those in the Act in detail elaborates on who and how as well in the supply chain that particular person is required to register. I'll submit. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to remind our traders, please do also make use of the RLA questions mailbox so that we can be able to clarify more questions for you. I received a question from Sin. Sin is asking, how do reporters check if they are registered using e-filing? I'll ask Katleho to take the question for us.
Thank you, Nora. Thank you, facilitator. And good evening to our traders who join us online this evening. Thank you for that question. On RLA, the user or the trader will go and log into SARS e-filing. Once they log into SARS e-filing, they'll have to access their profile, the client's profile, through Customs Trader Portal with their logins. On the top right of the client's profile, they will click inbox icon. Once they've clicked that icon, on the left-hand side of the pane, all the notifications that are there for the client or for the traders will be displayed. And if the client, irrespective of when the application was approved, the RCG notification that was issued upon approval will be on there. The trader or SIMI and as a trader will be able to view it, to print it, save it, or archive it. I thank you, facilitator.
Thank you, Katleho, for a very detailed response. We're also getting questions from our SMME. I will ask patients to prepare to take these questions from our SMME. Our client is asking, how do I register for income tax as a small business, and what are the obligations once I am registered?
Thank you, Program Director. Good evening to our traders. Okay, there are two types of taxpayers that I will concentrate on. The first one will be an individual, the taxpayers that are trading as sole traders. So for that one, you need to register through e-filing if you want to register for income tax, or visit our branches, domestic tax branches. Those are the two options. If you visit our website, you will get the supporting documents that you need to take along with. Okay, the second one is companies. Companies, they can register automatically through SARS and CIPC interface. So when you register a company already at CIPC, you will be given the income tax number. Thank you. And then, sorry, the obligations. So for individuals, they have to submit returns according to the notification. When the filing season starts, the due date will be, it's on the filing season pack. And then for companies, they have 12 months after the end of the financial year. So if your financial year ends in February, then you will submit the 12 months after that on the next February, on the upcoming year. And then we also have provisional tax. That's another obligation that they have as part of income tax, which there are two compulsory returns that they need to submit. It's also linked to the financial year end. Thank you, Program Director.
Thank you, Patience. There's a question coming from Jackie, one of our traders online currently. Jackie is asking us, can the shipping lines register immediately for RCG? I'll ask Michael to lead us on that question.
Yes, thank you, Nora. Yes, to that question, yes, the shipping lines can register immediately. There's also requirements in terms of supporting documents that will be required. If it's a foreign entity, if we're to be explaining that, if it's a foreign entity, they need to have a representation in the Republic that will be representing them in the event where they don't have an office in the Republic. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. We have a question from Simi. Simi wants us to clarify regarding the CTP. And the question says, our problem is that our CTP portal for our principal carrier has been raised on local agency e-filing portal. These are two separate and independent legal entities who should not be confused. How do we work around this as not to confuse the principal overseas and the agency for local taxpayers? I will ask Dashin to lead us on this question.
Thank you, Nora, for the question. So Nora, the entity logging in onto e-filing must have access to the principal's e-filing profile in order to submit applications on their behalf. If they do not have access to their e-filing profiles, these applications will need to be done at a customs branch office for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dashin, for clarifying that for us. There's one more question coming through. It's also regarding cargo reporters. And the client is asking, how do I apply for sea cargo carrier on RLA? I will ask Katlego to take the question for us. I'll repeat the question. Katlego, please prepare to take the question. How do I apply for sea cargo carrier on RLA?
Thank you, facilitator. The RCG, you will use the same platform. You'll use a CTP, Customs Trader Portal. You log into e-filing. You log into CTP. You put your login details. Under application, when you get to the application client type, there will be a licensing, there will be registration, and there will be reporting. You will choose reporting, and it will give you options, which one reporting, depending on modality, which one you would like to apply for. I thank you.
Thank you, Katlego. There's another question regarding SMME. And our trader would like us to clarify for them. They are starting up as a SMME. What are the available incentives for our SMMEs? Patience, please take that for us.
Thank you again, Program Director. So there are three incentives on the side of domestic taxes. The first one is turnover tax. For income tax, the normal rate is 28%, and at the end of this, during the budget speech, 27% was announced, which will be implemented in 2023. But turnover tax is much lower in rates, and as well, unfortunately, is not open to everybody. It's only for micro businesses that are making up to 1 million. We have made before a webinar on tax incentives. So the details on turnover tax, on who qualifies, who is excluded, they can be found on YouTube. And the second one is small business corporation. For turnover tax, you need to register and be approved before you use those rates. And for SBC, the rates are also low. You do not need to register. It's for businesses that are having an income between 1 million and 20 million. So yes, it's also another option for income tax. And then lastly, we have ETI, which is employees tax incentive, which allows, encourages small businesses to employ youth and get an incentive from SARS. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patience. There is a question that is coming through from our client, Kathy. Kathy is asking, what is the turnaround time once submitted via RLA? I'll request Samuel to take that question for us.
Thank you very much, Chair, once more. Actually, it's not Kathy alone who asked that question. I saw also, I think it's Michelle also asked the very same question. So it seems like it's a very imperative question for our traders. We'll provide clarity on that. So as you may know that we have obligated in terms of the service charter in terms of turnaround time. And we also are aware of some deficiencies here and there. And they are being attended to as I speak right now, that we are engaging on them to make sure that everything will run seamlessly as always. But however, the turnaround times, the most important thing that influences the turnaround time is the supporting documents. You find that we receive the application and it was processed on the system, but there is no documentation. Therefore, it disrupts the whole entire process flow. So I would like to urge Kathy, Michelle, to say when you are applying, make sure that the onboarding letter is there. If you would have heard Mr. Pokade as he was presenting, would have alluded to the onboarding letter. So it's very much important that Kathy and other members of trade, they upload that letter. And once it's uploaded and all the documents are in order, actually what we would have done, we also went a step further to make the process simplified. So what will happen is that within at least 5 days, we should be able to process if all is in order and all the required documents are there. But then also we should not confuse that different products, they've got different turnaround days depending on the process that needs to follow in terms of vetting, inspection, and so forth. And there are some applications, they vary, some are straightforward, even in 2 days can be finalized, some can take 21 days. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Samuel. Michelle has just sent us a very interesting question on the question and answers chatbot, whereby she's asking, how do I remove an application type that was incorrectly selected in the beginning and not submitted from the dashboard? This is very interesting. That does the RLA functionality allow our traders to be able to remove an application that was incorrectly selected? Deshan, can you please take this question for us?
Thank you, Nora. So if you've selected an application and you've selected it incorrectly, we have now introduced a discard functionality. So you are now able to discard that application, meaning you delete it, and then you can go back to the client type selection and then select the correct client type and then apply for that appropriate client type. Thank you, Nora.
Thank you so much, Deshan. So it means that the RLA functionality allows you as our client to be able to discard an application if you have incorrectly chose a client type that you don't want to register for. There's one more question coming from another Michelle. Please clarify the RCG timeframes. When does the clearing agent, forwarding agent have to report on forwarding shipments for C shipments? 24 hours after loading at POL or 96 hours before vessel arrive at POD? I'll ask Andre to take this question for us.
Yeah, thank you, Nora. Interesting question. It depends as freight forwarder whether you are classified as a first level or a second level freight forwarder. In short, first level freight forwarder contracts directly with the carrier, second freight forwarder obviously does not. So the carrier and the first level freight forwarder are reporting on an advanced loading basis, and any other reports below that level is reporting on an advanced arrival basis. Thanks.
Nico just sent us a question in terms of onboarding timeframes. He wants to know that when is the deadline that all current traders must be onboarded on e-filing for RLA? I'll request Michael to take the question for us.
Hi, Nora, can you repeat the question, please, ma'am?
I'll repeat the question for you. When is the deadline that all current traders must be onboarded to RLA?
On that specific question, there's no specific time frame set, or the traders are not necessarily obligated to do as such. But however, they are advised to be onboarded on the RLA process. This will afford them an opportunity as well from the RCG perspective, that when the notice of intent are sent to them, then it will be directed to them, and they will be in a position to pay penalties directly to SARS. So in essence, what we mean by that is, in future, the traders will be obligated to come on board when the Control Act is implemented. So at this point in time, they are not obligated to do as such, but they are advised to come on board. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Michael, for a very detailed response there. So our traders, this is an opportunity for you to onboard. Take the time and take the opportunity now. There's one question that is coming regarding expiry of licenses and if a client is able to renew their license on RLA. Homozo is asking, when a license expires on RLA, can I renew online on e-filing? Darshan, I think you will take this one for us.
Thank you, Nora. So in terms of applications or licenses that require renewal, firstly, in order to access the renewal functionality, that application must have been submitted or captured on the RLA system. So if it is a client that hasn't been onboarded yet, they first need to onboard that particular client type onto RLA. Once onboarded, when that client type is ready for renewal, as I mentioned in my presentation, on your dashboard, that particular client will be indicated by way of a color coding when it's ready for renewal. Currently, the renewal period is set at, I think it's 30 days before the renewal period. So if a license expires on the 31st of December, by 1st of December, that client type will be ready for renewal. If, however, you have not renewed in time, that license will then lapse or expire, and you would need to submit a brand new application for that particular client type. Thank you, Nora.
Thank you, Darshan. I see on the chat, our client was asking where can they get information for licensing and registration. Kindly know that there are questions that have been responded to on our chat, whereby also the email address has been shared. The email address for RLA questions at sars.gov.za is active for the duration of the webinar and will be inactive after the webinar. Therefore, clients can send their further queries to RLA registration at sars.gov.za. The email address has also been shared on the chat so that you can be able to obtain that information. One more question from Denton. Denton is asking, is the relationship model active on RLA? I'll ask Samuel to take that question for us.
Thank you very much, Chair. And also another thing, before I go to the actual question itself, actually, that process is done through the RMM, and it's also a self-service. It's not a system which will require or that requires any intervention from SARS official. It's whereby a trader and the other trader, where they manage their own relationships there, whereby they are agreeing on relationship or termination of relationship in between the two parties there, but it will be filtered and that information will be generated to SARS so that we do have access to that. But it's a system which is separately, which they can make use and take advantage of it, because it's got also several benefits on that, because one can also nominate somebody for a certain product which they would want to, and nominate maybe another one for a certain one, and also terminate as in when the relationship in between the two parties it continues. So that's how we have simplified that particular process for them to engage on that particular platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. I think you must not go away, Sam. There's another client saying, Walter, why is it necessary for us to register for e-filing if we are an importer? I think we can be able to respond that one, Sam. Let's tell Walter, why is it important to register?
Walter, thank you for asking that pertinent question. And it's very relevant to what the occasion we are on. So if you going to go back to our website, you will see we have listed the benefits. So as an importer, it's important that if you are on the old system, you need to be onboarded on the RLA. Or if you are starting for an application, you need to be onboarded on that as an importer alone, because remember, the business grows. As it grows, you decide, I also want to become an exporter. So when you are onboarded, there's what we call also library. So you benefit from the library. Things like proof of address, proof of contact details will not be required because the system already has that. So for you, when you go again and apply for exporter or you want trade agreements and stuff, you just go onto the system and you apply for that at the comfort of your home. It's a simplified system which you can use, Walter, which will assist you and save you more time standing on the queue, waking up. You just do it at the comfort of your home and your information is really there. So we won't ask for any further supporting documents. And also remember, applications do not have to wait for the other to be finalized. You work on this application, then once it's done, you go to the next one as well. Then you have case numbers which you can use to follow up. And in most cases, some of the cases are even able to go out the same day. So it's a huge benefit, Walter. If I were you, I would take really advantage of that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. That will mark the end of our question and answers. I would like to indicate to Trade, we will continue and respond to all questions that were posed to us. All questions that we have received, responses will be filtered and you'll get your responses. Going forward, please remember, once the RLA questions mailbox is inactive, you can send your questions to RLA registrations@sars.gov.za as presented earlier. Please, our traders, take the benefit of onboarding to the RLA system so you can have full management of your profile and it can be easy for you to do business with customs. I thank you, Chairperson. Back to you.
Wow. Thank you, Nora, and your team. That was a very engaging and interactive session that you had with our traders out there. And I hope they've enjoyed the session like I've enjoyed this side. Thank you very much. And we really appreciate that. You've just highlighted that this is not the end of it. If one of your questions has not been answered by our team, it will be deposited in our frequently asked question. We have a bank of questions and answers there. So please log in and get answers to the question that you may have. Thank you very much, Nora and your team. Before we proceed, I would like to invite Mr. Sidwell Pokane on stage. Mr. Pokane, as the executive and the leader of this license and the registration team, you have had and you have seen the interaction and the engagement with our traders, Mr. Pokane. What will be the message to them? What would you want to put across as the key pattern comments that you want to see coming from our partners this evening?
Thank you very much, Program Director Msongweni, once again, and good evening to members of Trade. I think firstly, let me commend our panelists as well as the members of Trade for such an interactive and engaging session. I think of key Program Director is that almost on a daily basis, at an operational level, we are quite inundated with queries relating to the delays on processing of the registration and licensing applications. Some of these escalations find their way to the office of the commissioner. They find their way to the office of the head of accreditations and licensing. Some of these escalations find their way to some of the senior executive within the organization. Even at an operational level, both the operations management team and operational staff, we get to invest a lot of time dealing with these queries instead of focusing our energies on new applications. And our assessment of these queries, almost over 80% of those, if not 90, relates to applications that have been submitted manually. And if also assess further, some of the clients also go to the extent of reminding us the implications, the adverse implications and the harm that the delays has on their businesses, which is something that we've taken really to heart. It's something that really keeps us awake throughout the day, throughout the 24 hours, trying to find lasting solutions. And the implementation of the automated RLA platform, it's one of the current alternative available. To say, and encouraging members of trade to really seize this moment, this opportunity, so that we can all, find closure to the current manual process. Because it is proving to be very disastrous to our clients' businesses. It is also equally putting a lot of administrative strain to our lean capacity dealing with licensing and registration matters. As the head should have said in the opening, this presents an opportunity, for all of us to start preparing for the next normal. And I think it is proving that the manual channel, really, it has run its race. It's high time that all of us, we embrace this digital self-service channels. So I hope this session today, it has provided that clarity to our traders, so that from henceforth, we can expect quite a number of responses of our existing clients registering to be onboarded on this RLA. I'm really looking forward where we can start looking at other challenges, rather than the service escalations as a result of the manual channel that is creating to all of us. I thank each and every one of the participants for making time and for engaging with us. As the program director will have said, Nora will have alluded to, those questions that we have raised, we'll also spend some time re-enhancing them, and be posted on the frequently asked questions and all other platforms that we have shared with you in terms of interacting with us. The head also will have shared with us that we'll be creating as part of driving the cooperative compliance, we'll be working with them through a formalized structure where we'll invest our time and efforts to really zoom into the issues of licensing and registration, where clients will be heard, will take their voice in this journey of repurposing our licensing, but most importantly, in its redesign. On that note, Program Director, I want to thank you and thanks members of trade and all my SARS colleagues. Thank you very much.
Great, beautiful. Thank you very much, Mr. Pokane. We're also looking forward for that partnership with our stakeholders and with our partners in trade. We coming close to the end of our webinar this evening. I know it's evening, but feedback is the breakfast of the champions. we will want to hear from you by giving us feedback in our survey. We just have a 5-second survey at the end of this webinar. Please rate our webinar and give us feedback. Now, I would like to invite on stage our head of taxpayer and trader education, Dr. Ribone Kabo, who will give us the closing remarks for this evening. Dr. G.
Mr. Program Director, what a session we had. I would like to start by thanking you all, the keynote address speaker, by our head, our presenters, the panelists, the program director, and our executive for your valuable contribution to this well-orchestrated webinar. I'm sure you would agree with me to say that this was well-organized webinar. My deepest gratitude goes to all the taxpayers and traders who attended this webinar and helped to make it a success this time of the evening. And we really appreciate you taking time out to be with us. We appreciate the commitment you are showing in an attempt to share information with you. Today's webinar answered questions relating to the onboarding for manual platform on our online platform, the journey to take to navigate the RLA system for accessing the system on e-filing using your own credentials, to assure you that your digital journey and onboarding experience is easy to navigate. Lastly, registration for cargo reporting process that was shared with you. I learned a thing or two myself. Today's discussion illustrates the modernization journey we took to make it easy for you to interact with us digitally, and importance of constantly providing clarity and certainty to members of trade. More importantly, to share our modernization journey to create spaces for information exchange, deliberation, cooperative compliance for improved customer experience. My sense is that there is an appetite for continued engagement about systems we innovate, including the rules we are required to adhere to from our side. It is, however, vital that you constantly evaluate and assess if SARS is really improving in making it easy for industries in this space to comply and understand obligations. In my capacity as the head of SARS Taxpayer and Trade Education, I implore you to engage with us beyond this webinar through platforms already mentioned in the presentation. In conclusion, we look forward to engaging with you on different platforms, for example, the YouTube, the email, the website, and please be on the lookout for more webinars and education programs we will be rolling out for you and for help you to comply. I really want to thank everyone who participated in this, especially people who cannot be seen, who were behind the scene in making this webinar possible. I really want to say this was a collaborative effort. I thank you. Over to you, Mr. Program Director.
Thank you, Dr. G, for those warm closing remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate 25 years of service here in SARS, we will continue being obsessed with quality service. In the words of our own commissioner, one day we achieve our moonshot aspiration where the best service is no service at all. Your tax matters. Thank you and good night.
Fellow South Africans, I'm addressing you.
All your years of paying tax, you still wonder, why does it matter?
It is true that we are facing a great emergency.
It matters now more than ever. It matters to those who are exposed to harm to keep us away from it. The ones that leave behind all that they love. Your tax matters to them. Those who spend endless hours standing on their feet to care for others. It matters to those who are always at the heart of any crisis and our future generations. It matters to those who put so much love into giving selflessly to each and every family living on the breadline. It matters to all of us. To all taxpayers, pay your fair share. Do it for your nation. Your tax matters.